Let them theory is meditation in action. It applies the core of meditation to our daily lives: non-judgment, non-resistance, and non-reactivity. And I think this is what makes the let them theory so powerful and effective, because it reminds us that we are in control of how we think, what we do, and how we respond to our emotions. So let's look at the let them theory through the lens of meditation. Let's break it down to understand how the let them theory works and what makes it so effective. So first, let's talk about non-judgment. I'm a meditation guide, and a lot of people tell me that they struggle to meditate because they can't stop thinking. So when you think that meditation should be a thought-free experience, what happens is that you start judging your thoughts. So when you're sitting in meditation, you start thinking, you probably respond by saying, why am I thinking? Why can't I stop thinking? How do I get rid of my thoughts? Like, this is so frustrating. Why am I so bad at meditating? But the thing is, that's not what meditation is about. Meditation is about observing your thoughts, observing the way we judge our thoughts and also our emotions. When we sit in meditation and observe all the ways that we judge our experience, we come to understand that actually it's not our thoughts and emotions that make us miserable. It's our judgment of the experience that makes us miserable. And this is exactly what Mel Robbins talks about. So she describes this time when she was in the supermarket. She's in line and it's taking a really long time, and she's starting to get frustrated and annoyed. Then she starts thinking, why is it taking so long? Why is this place understaffed? Why are these people being so slow? And she says that in that moment, she said to herself, let them. And she felt an instant relief. So this is the practice of non-judgment. It's the awareness that our constant judging and labeling of situations makes us feel worse. So we judge things as good or bad, right or wrong. It's really about being objective about the situation and not adding unnecessary layers, mental chatter, narratives to the situation. We let it be, we let them be, without judging. Those two words help us to drop that judgmental narrative that keeps looping in our minds and makes the situation feel so much worse than it needs to be. The second is non-resistance. So the let them theory is accepting the fact that we cannot change anyone. We try to resist and we try to change people, but the truth is we can't. The only person that we can change is ourselves. It's understanding that you only have control over yourself. And in meditation, this is called non-resistance. So when we sit in meditation, all sorts of thoughts and emotions come up. Certain ones are more comfortable than others. And when we feel discomfort, we very quickly try to change the situation. So this happens to me a lot. I'll be sitting in meditation. Maybe I'll get an uncomfortable sensation in my body, like pins and needles, or I'll start feeling bored or frustrated. I want to get on with my day. It can be really difficult to accept these uncomfortable experiences. So sometimes I'll be fidgeting, moving my body around, or I'll start thinking about something else, or sometimes I'll actually get up and leave. So meditation teaches us that we always have two options: continue to resist or accept. And I recently did the Vipassana 10-day meditation course. I have a video on it and you can check that out. And during that course, I fully experienced the fact that the only way to release discomfort in these situations is to stop resisting it. It's the only way. Acceptance is the only way to alleviate that discomfort, whether it be in your body or your mind. And this is the same effect of saying let them. You're choosing to drop it. You're choosing to drop the resistance. And that's why when you say let them, you feel that instant relief, because you're choosing to no longer fight or change the situation. You're no longer in resistance. You're choosing to accept it. And I know that there's criticism about the let them theory, saying, oh, what, so are we supposed to just let people do whatever they want, walk all over us, and say that we accept it? And I don't think that's the case. So the same can happen with meditation. People can use the practice of meditation as a form of spiritual bypassing. So for example, I'm not going to have this difficult conversation because I'm practicing non-resistance or I'm practicing non-judgment. This can happen. And I think it can happen with anything. It's not just the let them theory. So whatever practice we take on, we can use it to deny the truth, or we can use it to see the truth of the situation. So I think the let them theory is powerful because it really does allow you to see the truth of the other person. When we let them, we understand that actually they're just being their authentic self. So we are able to see the truth of that person. And it's the same with meditation. We can use these practices to learn more about ourselves and how we respond to other people in our relationships. So these practices can be used in both ways, to keep ourselves in the dark or to shine light on the situation. And it's really up to us, our awareness of how we use these practices. And even if we choose to use these practices as a way to avoid our fears and to avoid difficult conversations, that still becomes an experience that you can learn from. And it can show you what you resist in life. And the third is non-reactivity. So I watched Mel Robbins' interview with Oprah, and she mentions that the let them theory is powerful because it allows us to choose how we respond to our emotions. And I think this is really important because non-reactivity isn't about not getting upset. There's nothing wrong with getting upset in response to someone's behavior. It's only natural. But how do we choose to respond? That's something that we actually have control over. So when we practice meditation, we become really observant and we become more aware of what we're thinking and how we're feeling. And this awareness then gives us the time to pause and choose how we respond. I'm not always very good at this, but it definitely helps. So meditation teaches us that we always have the choice. We always have the power to choose how we feel. And I think what's so insightful about let them theory is that it places the focus on us. A lot of the times we hold other people accountable for how we feel. We are very quick to point fingers, blame the other person for upsetting us. And this is actually giving them control and accountability for our emotions. And I keep falling into this pattern in my relationship. It's not something that I'm proud of. I'm trying to work on it. But let them theory reminds us only I can be accountable for my emotions. No one else can change how I feel. So the let them theory allows us to practice non-reactivity, to pause and choose how we respond, and also to pause and question why we're feeling this way. Because meditation teaches us that when we're upset about something, something is being triggered within us by their words, by their actions. So for example, two people might hear the same thing from one person and respond completely differently. So we're not all triggered by the same thing. We all have different histories, different pasts. Something in you is being triggered. Something in you is rising to the surface for you to observe. And it's not about holding the other person accountable. It's not about expecting them to make things better. It's about taking responsibility for my own emotions. It's understanding that I am the only person who has control over how I feel. So since I've started meditating, I'm always trying to learn about myself and use my relationships as a mirror to understand myself better. And I think that's the same with let them theory. It's an opportunity to learn about yourself. It's really about understanding how I judge, how I resist, and how I react. And it's amazing that the let them theory allows us to apply these 3 core practices of meditation just by saying 2 words. Let them.